Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
You ready? All right, I'll call our meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you out for our Monday, October 5th Commissioners' Business Meeting. We will open our meeting with public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. I have the September 28th, 2020 Commissioner meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the September 28th Commission minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve the September 28th Commission meeting minutes. Is there any public discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carries. All right, I'll read some mail that we received. We have received a letter from the Board of Investments regarding STIP, which stands for Short-Term Investment Pool. And it's just some information we need to fill out and get back to them. We will work with Doug Ellis to get that information filled out. We have received a check for $238.63 for the Fliner restitution payment. Here's some information from Corey Stapleton, the Secretary of State, and it's a brochure on the upcoming election. So if you have any questions, this might be able to answer some of those for you. That'll be available for review in the Commissioner's office. We also have the MACO 110th Annual Conference minutes, and that was from when we met last in September 22nd through the 26th. I guess in regard to that, I think we had our MACO conference this week. It was a virtual conference, so we attended virtually, and I think overall it went pretty well. Don't you think, Mike?
Yep, yeah. It pretty well, very well ran for the first time they did all that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have claims in the amount of $43,907.72.
I'll make a motion to pay claims and set them out.
I will second the motion. I also want to make plain that these are already approved claims, and I see no issue with them.
Okay, thank you. Motion's made and seconded to pay claims in the amount of $43,907.72. Is there any
Aye.
discussion? Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. And has been approved, so. We also have payroll in the amount of $183,623.57.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded to pay payroll in the amount of $183,623.57. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. All right. Looks like we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. I guess just real quick, try to do maybe a commissioner's update. We haven't done one in a while. I need to look at my phone, all the different places that we've been, what we've been doing. Like we said, last week was the Mako conference, and they did a very good job of doing that. And despite the fact that we weren't able to meet in person, we still got the business done. So good for them. A lot of the board meetings that we've been that we normally go to have not taken place because our folks, a lot of our folks are farmers and ranchers, and they're still trying to get their crops in. So some of those meetings haven't taken place. I think that they probably will next week. So I really don't have much to report on that. I guess that's really all I have. Nothing significant. Mike, do you have anything?
The census has been extended to October 31st, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll try to get that filled out if you have not done so. People, I believe, are still knocking on doors for some people around. Another thing is I believe ballots have been sent out. People are voting. One thing that I was kind of amazed at during the primary was the amount of ballots that were wasted because people didn't fill them out right or didn't pay attention to what they were doing. If you're voting a mail ballot and you haven't done one before, take your time to go through it so you know what you're doing. Make sure you sign it and get it turned in. We have election judges, but we simply do not have enough of them to cover all the precincts. We're only going to have one polling place in the county that will be at the school. Be patient with those people. They don't get paid a whole lot of money, and they put a lot of time into their work, and they're also exposing themselves with the COVID thing. Another thing is we got a report from the nurse today that we had a outbreak of COVID at Western Montana College in Dillon. Some of those kids were home. We have 2 cases right now, so next week, in all likelihood, we're probably looking at wearing masks, probably before the end of the week. So if those cases go to 4, we got to go to masks. So everybody try to stay a little bit more vigilant for as long as this thing carries out. That's all I got.
If I may make a minor correction, ballots will be mailed on the 9th.
On the 9th?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, good.
Could
Hey,
Can I raise this?
Go ahead.
Just going off of what Commissioner Dodger said, I think that's correct. I think we need to be preparing that our numbers are going to go up. I had several friends that were at this event Saturday night in Helena, this Let Freedom Ring event, and it was supposed to be 250 people. There was over 4,000 people there, and they were packed in like, as jokingly said, like an old Bon Jovi concert. So I think there was more than Corona spreading in that crowd. So I know multiple people from Broadwater County that were there. So if in fact it turned into a spreader event, I think the next couple of weeks in Broadwater County are going to be a little interesting. So.
All right, good. I think we have some discussions to do here with Teresa, and hopefully we can get them done today. She desperately going to be needing some help. So, all right. Excuse me. With that said, I guess we will start our meeting with a update on the Lake Vista subsequent minor subdivision Lot 5. Bernadette,
Good morning.
good morning.
Bernadette Swenson with Schauber Surveying. I have information, the two engineers, Sean Higley and Rick Castile, got together and they went over vertical curve data on the hump. Basically what it was decided is mathematically the hump is 4/100ths too high. So they are going to cut the top 4/100ths
Mm-hmm.
and just drag that up the hill.
Sure.
I have the emails and copies of the profiles
Okay.
and the one from, one for Laura.
Okay.
The last page is the WWC calculations. And you can see there's that little, the intersection point. So 4/100ths will be cut off of that.
Okay.
And this, the top profile you'll see in red. That will be the change. So the engineer wanted me to, I visited with him, and what they'll do is do those changes, we'll do new profiles, and then those will be sent to Sean.
Okay.
So my question, and that Rick Castile, the other engineer, wanted to know if, there won't be a lot of noticeable difference, so they weren't sure if this will suffice, if you had any other issues. And do you want Sean Higley to stamp the emails or just a letter of agreement? Exactly what the commission wanted so we could move forward and do it right.
Well, I guess the main thing is that it meets the profile of our county road. That was what the whole discussion was about, right? That it met the standard.
Right.
And so if it meets the standard, then I see no reason for us not to continue.
We just wanted to, verify what we're
Right.
doing moving forward.
And I think our engineer will verify those. When he gets that data back, he'll verify all that.
Right, we'll go out and do the as-built on the top of that hump
Right.
and get those to him.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Do you see Corey, any need to do anything else?
400s, what? 400s of an inch?
Yeah.
Foot,
Oh.
400ths of a foot.
Yeah.
It's like I just
It's-
kicked my foot and I would have got the
Yeah.
400s of an inch done.
Yeah, it's, about 4 inches that they'll scrape off the top of the hump.
Mhm.
Well, that's a third of a foot, that's not 400s.
Well, 5/100ths is 6 inches,
Right.
because
Right.
it's in tenths. They divide the foot into tenths. So,
Wouldn't 50/100ths be 6 inches? Or
no,
5/10ths?
5/10ths. So
5/10ths,
5/10ths
yeah,
is 6 inches.
So you're saying it was
4/10ths
It was 4/10ths, not 400s.
is about 4 or 5
Okay.
inches. It's a little over 4 inches.
All right, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
All right, that's all I've got.
All right,
And
perfect.
when we get those new ones, then we'll give those to Nicole and then schedule for final again.
Okay. And is that something you think that they're going to get a chance to work on like right away?
I think they're planning on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Meeting Brandon out there right after this meeting.
Yeah.
So they may be, because that's where he's at.
Mm-hmm. I think what I'll do is I'll wait for you, Bernadette, to let me know if we need to put it back on the agenda.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm
Because
not,
I'll get it to Nicole
Right.
and then let her schedule a new final approval.
Okay, so I won't put it on next week's agenda, and
Perfect.
I'll just wait till I hear from you
All
guys
right.
to do that, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, next on our agenda is the resolution authorizing Broadwater County to intervene with Marr County regarding the Black Butte Copper Project.
Mr. Chair, was there a vote for that subdivision? This is final plat, is it not?
No, it's not. It was just,
Okay, this is just to approve the road?
this is just an update as to what they're going to do to the road. Final plat
Okay.
approval will be in another week or two when that project is completed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Corey.
I don't know what this is. We discussed this previously with Marr County Attorney Bert Hurwitz, and the Commission requested a written document that would be the resolution authorizing it. So I worked with Mr. Hurwitz and provided that to the Commission. So the general decision before you is, number one, does the Commission wish to join Marr County to intervene in the environmental lawsuit dealing with the Black Butte copper mine? That's a project that's over in Marr County. The Montana DEQ has issued a permit for that mine to proceed towards both construction and operation. Several environmental groups have sued to challenge that permit, but they've not sought an injunction. So even though the litigation is proceeding, the project is proceeding as well. Marr County intends to intervene as a defendant intervener in the case to advocate the county's interests, and those they've discussed those as basically being, number one, the economic benefit to the county. Number two, there's tax revenue and royalties and things that would be a benefit to the county. And then number three, one of the bases for the challenge to the permit, the environmental groups have alleged that the project itself will have a negative impact on the community and the local government. And so Marr County feels its voice needs to be heard in that. As we discussed at length previously, Broadwater County's been a long-term supporter of this project, has provided various comments in support of it. And Broadwater County also is likely to benefit from the mine, both economically, likely with families moving in. I know that there's been a presentation to this commission about kind of a transportation service that the mine may set up, where there be maybe multiple mine workers that actually live here and reside here with their families, and then there's a bus that transports them for work shifts, similar to what Stillwater Mine does in Columbus. So Broadwater County stands to, I think, benefit from people that live here, would have steady, good paying jobs. The discussion then was basically the commission said, yeah, we're interested in doing this, provide a resolution. So I provided a resolution here. I don't know if the commission wants me to read it. I know I've passed out several copies in the audience.
We've asked Ann to read that resolution for us. So.
Well, then I'll let you do that before I go to my discussion.
Very good.
Whereas Montana Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, has approved a mining permit for a project in Marr County known as the Black Butte Copper Project. Whereas commissioners believe the development of this mining project will be beneficial to the economy and people of Broadwater County. Whereas various environmental organizations have sued in state district court to challenge DEQ's issuance of a permit for this project. Whereas the Marr County Commission has authorized its county attorney to seek to join this lawsuit as a defendant intervener in support of the Black Butte Copper Project. Whereas the commissioners believe the interest of Broadwater County are important for the court to consider in any decision addressing the future of Black Butte Copper Project, and such interests will be unrepresented if Broadwater County is not a party to this suit. Whereas Marr County has indicated it does not oppose the entry of Broadwater County as a defendant intervener in partnership with Marr County, and whereas the Marr County Attorney Bert Hurwitz and Broadwater County Attorney Corey Swanson will work together as co-counsel, and it is appropriate to designate Bert Hurwitz as a special deputy Broadwater County Attorney to allow him to represent the legal interest of Broadwater County as a co-litigant in this case. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Broadwater County Attorney is directed to move the court to allow Broadwater County to intervene in any litigation in state district court filed to challenge the Black Butte Copper Project and to advocate for the responsible development of the Black Butte Copper Project. It is further resolved the Marr County Attorney Bert Hurwitz is designated as the Special Deputy Broadwater County Attorney for the purpose of appearing as co-counsel on behalf of Broadwater County, in this case in cooperation with Marr County, passed and adopted by the Broadwater County Board of County Commissioners of Broadwater County this 5th day of October 2020.
So that pretty well spells it out. So this would be basically a cooperative effort, and there may be some briefs, or there may be some hearings where, you know, I may be there on behalf of both entities, or Bert may be there on behalf of both entities. And this, you know, anything like this, what we do is we consult ahead of time on our legal position, and so he can stand before the court and address the court as to our unified legal objectives. That's what this would facilitate. There was a question raised by Commissioner Obert prior, I think maybe at the last meeting, I don't recall, but certainly prior to, and I guess I just want to address it briefly now, and I understand there's probably going to be a discussion. So Commissioner Obert had indicated she believed that that to do the resolution that the county was required to do both a 2-week publication as well as a public hearing, and she was referencing a statute. That statute is 7-1-2121. And I know we've had this discussion in times past on at least 2 occasions that I can recall. The statute 7-1-2121 refers when there is a provision in law that specifically requires the county to do a multiple notice and public hearing process. So 2 examples of that I can think of. One is if the county's passing an ordinance, and then another example is there's some certain revenue measures that the county may do in which they're required to make that kind of extra publication. That's not a requirement in statute for resolutions. There's a statute 7-5-121 that says all resolutions shall be submitted in the form prescribed by resolutions of the governing body. Resolutions may be submitted and adopted at a single meeting of the governing body. And I know that this commission has routinely passed resolutions relying on that statute after a single meeting. So I don't know if there's more answers I can provide to clarify that. I'd certainly be happy to. But there is a distinct requirement in the law between a resolution and another vehicle such as an ordinance or certain revenue measures which do require additional publications and hearings.
Isn't there also, Corey, in statute, it tells us when we need to do a public hearing and when we I guess a good example of that is, last month we discussed the hospital district, and I know within that statute, there's specific, it spells out specifically if we were to, say, maybe do a dissolution of the district, the requirement is in the statute for us to do the public hearing.
Yeah, that's correct. So the hospital district's a good example. Another good example would be that, like an ordinance specifically. It says if you're going to do an ordinance, you must do full publication of the proposed ordinance twice. They have to be separated by at least a week in the newspaper of, the local newspaper that you utilize for your circulation for your notices, which would be the Broadwater Reporter. In a town that doesn't have one, they have to do, let's say we didn't have a newspaper in this town, we'd probably have to do it in the Helena IR, plus, other publication things. And then it also gives specific public hearing guidance. So in other words, in fact, let's use the budget, because that's the most recent time that the commission did it. The budget, you had a budget hearing, and then the budget hearing was closed, and then you went to your commission meeting in order to do an enactment or to make it to take some kind of action on the budget. That's generally not the case for resolutions unless the specific subject of that resolution or that action requires that.
Okay.
I will make the motion to approve the resolution.
Before you do, I was waiting to be offered an opportunity to speak to that. May I have that opportunity?
You may.
Thank you. First of all, I didn't bring those things up at the last meeting. However, since they've been brought up, let's go ahead and talk about it now. We have a policy. One thing Corey mentioned in the second MCA 75121, I think, that it is up to the local government. If they have a policy, then they can follow that. We know that we have to follow Montana state law. We also know we can have resolutions and policies that are more strict. We happen to have that, and that was brought about by history. It's been in effect since at least 2015 and was reaffirmed on January 6th, 2020 by a unanimous vote of the Commission. What it states is that resolutions shall be presented to the Commission as an agenda item and follow public hearing as described in Part 4. Part 4 goes into the requirement for a public hearing. I did not ask for 2 weeks' notice in the local paper of record, because not every resolution requires 2 weeks' notice. But per our policy, every resolution does require a public hearing. Regardless of having a policy that describes that, my request for increased communication to our citizens and a request for increased opportunity for them to comment should have been honored. I made that request via email prior to the deadline for our agenda. We should strive for more opportunity for participation, never to reduce it. Resolutions are generally understood to convey to citizens that a subject is of more significant public interest to them than a regular agenda item. And that's going to apply to some in some cases and others, and perhaps to no one or to people who don't voice that concern. But we need to honor that. That also sends a message of public trust. Now, in the past, these requests to follow our policy, to have the public hearings for resolutions have been honored, and I appreciate that. The Barca resolution is a great example. The Black Butte copper mine in Marr County is of significant public interest to our citizens. Corey stated some of those in his introduction. At the very least, we should be communicating to our citizens that there's something additional for them to just notice, pay additional attention to if they choose, and also let them know that there is an additional opportunity for them to come to a commission meeting and have the right to participate through a public hearing. I know it seems redundant, but there is a reason that we have public meetings and public hearings. You can have a public meeting without a public hearing, but you cannot have a public hearing without a public meeting. The two are different. And I think what I am going to do at this point is I'm going to leave this meeting in a show of protest for bypassing Broadwater County policy, bypassing a commissioner's also policy right to have a voice in the agenda. And I'm going to leave in the protest of not granting our citizens that extra show of, hey, take a special look at this. Some will benefit greatly, and there will be some issues we need to work through. This is definitely of significant public interest. That's all I have to say. I'm going to send a statement to Ann for the minutes so that that can be included.
Okay, so before you
There you
go,
go.
yeah, so before you go, I mean, I've read the policy process that you have sent us. Hey, can you, I mean, I've read it several times, and I don't see
Good.
any requirement in there that it is requiring us to have a public hearing for a resolution.
Well, then read it again. I read it to you already.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now.
Now, again.
Show me.
Good.
Tell us where it's at. Tell us.
Regardless of
No.
it being in our policy,
Tell us where
when a
it's at.
commissioner asks for additional opportunity for public participation, we should be granting that. My request was for you to allow for a public hearing. That's it. It was a simple request to allow for the public to have more participation because this is of significant public interest. Our policy does call for a public hearing. I read it to you already. Feel free to read the document. I know it's 7 pages, and that's why I gave it to you in an email. I also sent you an email, 2-3 weeks ago with it written out for you.
Oh, Corey.
Guys, I'm just, Commissioner Obert, this is Corey Swanson. I'm just wondering if I can ask a question. I'm trying to understand how the public hearing would be any more facilitative of public participation than what's happening. There was a meeting last week. It was a meeting open to the public. There was public comment at it. There's a meeting today. There will be public comment allowed at this meeting. The item's been on the agenda, published in the newspaper for 2 weeks in a row. I don't understand how that's more limiting of public participation than what's being recommended.
I think I already answered that, but I certainly will do it again, Corey. Number one, we have a policy. We have a county policy that was approved by a 3-0 vote of the commission board. We need to follow that. And there's 2 different pieces to it, but we need to follow our policies. The second thing is, when there is a public hearing, it conveys to the citizens that a subject is of more significant public interest than a regular agenda item might be. That's why it's important. For somebody to just read an agenda item on the agenda does not convey to them that there's an added degree of importance or interest as stopping the meeting, opening a public hearing, and hearing that comment, because you get 2 shots with a public hearing to have your opinion heard. That's why it's important. It's added communication, it builds trust, and it's in our policies in a couple of different ways. All I'm asking for is that we follow our policies. That's it. And we're not.
I guess what I'm asking for is for you to tell us exactly in our policy where it says that we need to have a public hearing for a resolution. And I can't find it.
Did. If you go to section 9.02, resolution, you see that? It says a proposed resolution shall be presented to the commission as an agenda item.
Okay. So that's been
That's
on the
number
agenda.
one.
Been on the agenda twice.
Okay. Number 3, provisions for a public hearing as described shall be followed.
In part 5 or part 6.
You see that?
In part 6. So I
Yep.
went to part 6.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay?
yep. So where's it at in part 6 that tells us we have to have it?
I already read it to you, Daryl. Resolutions under section 9.02 says provisions, number 3, provisions for a public hearing as described in part 6 shall be followed. So part 6 gives you the structure on how to hold a public hearing. And if you look, it says number 1, this is section 6 or part 6. The presiding officer will present the item to the commission. And then it says number 2, the proponents and opponents of their agent or attorney may submit yada, yada, yada. Number 3, staff members. Number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. So it goes through the whole process. That isn't what gives authority. What gives authority is section 9.02 that says, regarding resolutions, provisions for a public hearing shall be followed. So because it doesn't say in repeated in section 6 doesn't mean that it negates what is in section 9.02.
So I guess maybe it's a matter of interpretation as far as for provisions for a public hearing in my mind means what is spelled out in statute. That's what we're required to do.
Well, we're required to follow a policy that you signed, Daryl.
Well, this is the policy that I'm
If a
reading.
commissioner asks for something to be on the agenda, we have that part also in the same policy. That would be part 3, section 3.01. The second to the last sentence, if there's a disagreement over the agenda item, a majority of the vote of the commission will make the final determination. We could certainly have followed that process, but the agenda is supposed to be a collaboration between 3 commissioners. When my request for a public hearing was voiced, it either should have been 1, honored on behalf of the citizens, or 2, we follow the process to have a discussion and make sure that is removed from the future agenda. Now, it would have been just a whole lot easier to add the 2 words I was asking for to the agenda on Tuesday. Public hearing probably would have had, I don't know, maybe it would have had some people commenting. And then they could have commented again before the vote. They would have had 2 opportunities to participate and have their constitutional rights honored. And I would have had at least a say in having a piece of this public disclosure honored, which I think is incredibly important, especially with something that we've had history. This could become an issue where we have complaints. To be able to say, folks, we not only had a public meeting, but we had a public hearing on this. We reached out to get as much public comment as possible. We can't do that if we don't follow our policy and if we bypass one commissioner for whatever reason.
Right. Any more discussion?
I don't have any.
I am now going to leave this meeting in protest. You guys can do whatever you want, and we'll move on from there.
Okay,
Thank you.
goodbye. All right,
I will make the motion to adopt the resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Broadwater County authorizing the county attorney to intervene in litigation regarding the Black Butte Copper Project.
I'll second that motion. Motion's made and seconded to adopt the resolution, Board of County Commissioners of Broadwater County authorizing the county attorney to intervene in litigation regarding the Black Butte Copper Project. Is there any public discussion? Tim?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Tim Ravendall, resident of Broadwater County, citizen that has been involved in a lot of this for a long time. The other commissioner that just left the meeting really needs to remember the one saying that came from a long time ago, that when you're in a hole, quit digging. And what happened here today is just a prime example of that, where the public trust has been violated in the past here in Broadwater County. But you guys, you two gentlemen here, have been working hard to fix that. And what I'm seeing here as a citizen is basically trying to get that, what we've seen a lot of times, and I think I've said it to both of you before, putting the cart back behind the horse where it belongs is always part of our process that is actually, hey, we're human. We do make mistakes. Admitting to those mistakes is really important. The other commissioner has failed to remember that the public trust has not only been violated, but proven in court. And we are now here in the 11th hour again, having that resurrected in a defensible position. I think it's just outrageous, myself personally as a citizen, and I would just like to thank you two for moving forward. Again, we need to follow that process under Article 2, Sections 8 and 9. You've heard me say it many, many times. And I thank you for remembering that policy does not trump law. It never has and never will. And it's up to we the people to make sure that we help you guys do that and make sure that we don't allow basically the overrun of our process by an individual for whatever reason. Personal, okay, I'm going to stop there. Thank you. I could go on, but I think I better stop there.
Yeah.
Thank you for adopting this, and I did comment, I did have a public opportunity, and I did also make sure that I let my friends know what was going on through a media source that I have ability to touch. So with that, thank you for adopting this. Move forward.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Is there any other public comment? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is this the one we're going to sign right here?
Yeah.
All right, thank you everybody for hanging in with us on that discussion. We're going to move on to a Board of Health appointment. Nicole is not here this morning. She had some medical things to take care of. As was discussed, was it 2 weeks ago, Mike? 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we discussed appointing J.J. Connors that his letter of intent. He submitted a letter of intent to be a member of our health board. Anyway, we would like to appoint him as a non-voting advisory member. JJ carries a lot of environmental experience, which we need that experience to help Sean with some of the work that he's doing, and so we would like to do that today.
I'll make the motion to appoint J.J. Connor as a non-voting advisory member to the Health Board.
Okay, I will second that motion. Motion's made and seconded to appoint J.J. Connors as a non-voting advisory member. And we're going to do that for how many? What?
2 years.
2 years, for 2 years. Is there, I will second that motion. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of appointing J.J. Connors as a non-voting advisory member to our Board of Health signify by, for 2 years, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on our agenda is discussion of using PEP grant funds for funding of our sanitarium. Tim.
What's the acronym PHEP?
Public Health Emergency Preparedness. There we
Thank you. That was my guess.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter what business you're in, they all have their own acronyms, right? From aviation to government to whatever it is, and it takes, sometimes it's a challenge to keep up with them.
I think the book's about that.
I think it is. So we adopted, last week, if you remember, we adopted the amendments to the task order, the PEP task order. And in that task order, I'll just read it here. It provides funding for our sanitarians. So jurisdictions not employing a full-time health officer or administrator will receive support for one full-time employee to support either a disease intervention specialist, or in those jurisdictions who do not currently employ a full-time sanitarian, a registered sanitarian. So that applies to us. It also says that the funding for the sanitarian is $91,811, which includes annual salary, benefits, and travel. So I guess the discussion is if we would like to pursue this part of the grant to help us pay for our current contracted sanitarian. And with that, I guess I'll open it up for discussion.
I don't know why we wouldn't do it. Basically, it pays for our sanitarians. I believe it's guaranteed through October of 2022, and they're going to try to fund this completely through the legislature for how long, I don't know. But I don't know why we wouldn't take advantage of it while we can.
You know, I agree. I mean, in this time when our budget's thin as it is, here's an opportunity to provide that type of funding and not have as large of an impact on our general fund as it always is. So, Sean, did you have anything that you wanted to say? Or?
I spoke with Teresa about this grant this morning, and basically what the outcome from COVID-19 was the realization that a lot of the smaller counties don't have the staffing that they need. And so the state is trying to provide that money for help with any of the issues. I think it's not just a COVID-19, it's not just related to a pandemic, but it's the realization that lots of the smaller counties don't have the funding to have a professional sanitarian with some experience to help kind of manage the overall environmental health and public health issues that we do deal with as sanitarians. So I think hopefully this will become a regular funding mechanism for you to provide a resource to get good help. As you know, finding sanitarians is difficult. There aren't a lot of us out there. And so hopefully this will also help raise the bar so that people can see that this position as a sanitarian is a viable position to, have a life and employment in the state of Montana. I just wanted to reiterate something that Teresa said, that the cases could be increasing, and with that we could easily start, my responsibilities will go back into COVID phase. If you look at my invoice from last month, it was very little time in COVID, but if we do go into an increase over 4, I will get very busy again. So having a funding source to help cover my costs that aren't related to your own general budget will be very helpful, I think. So.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks for pointing out, Sean, that this grant is aimed at trying to help our smaller jurisdictions to be better prepared. And I think that you're right, that the state realized that maybe we didn't have all the resources that we needed, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So. Any more discussion?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to move forward with this?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the PHEP grant for sanitarian funding.
Okay. I will second that motion. Motion's made and seconded to move forward with the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant in funding for our sanitarian. Is there any public discussion? Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tim with Conservative News from Montana. Just a couple of clarification questions here. The PACP grant, what is the source of that funding? Where does that come from specifically? And Sean had mentioned also, that we have a shortage of sanitarians in the area, and maybe state of Montana, and this whole sanitarian position in Broadwater County has kind of evolved some over the last year and a half, 2 years. So what I guess my question also is are we still into a contract position, we being the citizens of Broadwater County, I try to get that separated, as contracting rather than going back to where we were with a sanitarian position in the county, and basically, with $91,000 plus costs, where does that compare in our ability to maintain that position and the services that come with that?
Sure.
I probably missed the way I should have asked the question, but thank you.
I can answer some of those questions. So this grant is funded by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I think that's where our funding source will be. And so everybody knows, we are so very fortunate in Broadwater County to have Sean as our sanitarian. If any of you had opportunity to work with him, he's a guy that will try to find a way to make something work for you. And we get comments all the time from the folks that have had to work with Sean, and they're always positive comments. So thank you, Sean, for that. And as Sean stated, to find a sanitarian would be probably very difficult, especially now, and even before the COVID thing came along. It's to find a sanitarian for a full-time employee would be a real challenge. I think that right now the contracted sanitarian serves us well. I don't know, there has been no discussion to really move towards a full-time one. Has there, Mike?
No, we haven't.
That I'm aware of. So I believe that's Probably what we'll continue to do unless there's some reason that we need to change. But as you know, Broadwater County is growing fast, and we've been keeping Sean very busy. And I don't see that slowing down. And with all his additional duties that he's done for us during this COVID crisis have been very beneficial and been for Broadwater County and its residents. So, I mean, I guess I'm in favor of moving forward as well. Tim, you got
One
something?
follow-up question, is there an amount that you're seeking in this grant?
Right now,
Do you
no.
have anything there?
No, I guess we just know that's
The path.
that's what is available.
Okay.
We haven't got to that point yet.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just wanted to get the discussion out there to see if it's something that we want to move forward with, and I believe that it is, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, is there any more public discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So we'll continue this discussion, and we'll try more details for you later on. All right, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Sean, you're not going away.
I think I'm good to go.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay, next on the agenda is, I guess, when you going to fill in for Brandon on our request to buy
I'm the
new
older
vehicles?
version of Brandon.
Okay.
This is what Brandon's going to look like here in a few years. He's going to be gray. That handsome devil that he is.
Yeah.
But good morning.
Good morning.
You know, Brandon, for some reason, he can't get the cop out of him, and so he decided to work patrol shifts tonight, and so he's not here.
Okay.
And surprised his wife allows that behavior to happen. But, excuse me. I think Brandon sent you guys the letters and requests what we're looking for. And I don't know if he sent you the bottom page of this. This is basically for 3 patrol cars, and they're actually SUVs. We contemplated on going with a Charger. It's a little less money. Unfortunately, there's a lot less storage, and being deputies versus police officers or high patrolmen, we tend to have a lot more gear to deal with the things that we deal with. So, you know, unfortunately, in our position, we get to deal with fish and game stuff during hunting season. We get to deal with livestock, so a lot of the guys carry things to deal with, ropes and halters and things of that nature to deal with horses and domestic animals that are running loose. So the Charger is not a very good fit for what we need unless we had something that was more specific to traffic enforcement. So basically, Brandon went down the presentation of 3 Dodge Durangos. They have increased. I don't know if he sent you the email from Billy and Dodge. Dodge actually did some work to make theirs actually a police vehicle, pursuit vehicle is what it's called. And so before it was just a modification of what a civilian model was. Now they've actually gone to the extent of doing the things they need to do to make it a pursuit rated vehicle. And some of those is I think was bigger rotors for the brakes, and things of that nature. I think they use cast iron calipers versus what they used before. Just things, especially with braking and turning and front ends. And I think the quote actually goes with skid plates as well. Every once in a while, we tend to go off-road, and that tends to tear up the bottom of the vehicle. So that's part of it as well. But the total amount for 3 vehicles, each Durango, it's a 21 Dodge Durango, 34,252, so 102,756. We have currently 40,000 our CIP for vehicles. One of the things that between vacancy savings, trying to get people employed and hired and everything else, we're currently $100,000 lower in expenditures than we are in revenue. So there's that makeup there, and the other part of that is with the COVID-19. DOC prisoners and other prisoners have not been transported around the state, especially since the outbreaks in Cascade County, Yellowstone County, and Lewis and Clark. So that's kept our numbers of jail inmates higher than what we expected. So we should have, Brandon's projected $125,000 more in jail revenue than what we initially determined based upon the Lewis and Clark County Jail opening in September 1st. And so that hasn't happened completely yet. They're still in the phase of trying to get that done. And obviously COVID has slowed that process down for Lewis and Clark County. So they have not been able to make the fast change that they wanted to. So they haven't completely emptied us out like they initially thought they would. So we've had some good things and bad things come with it, but right now Under Sheriff Harris feels that we can pick up the cost of the 3 patrol cars within our budget as it sits, and what we expect to see here in the future with the jail revenue and the current situation we're in. So basically, what they did say, and like I said, I don't know if he sent this to you. Joe Rebin out of the fleet sales guy at J.C. Billy and Dodge wants us to get an order as soon as possible. These things aren't even designated to be built until February of 2021. So we're really getting behind the 8 ball on getting these vehicles, and we're going to try to piecemeal the Ford Interceptors that we have currently that we've been trying to get out of the fleet. So the 2 guys that are Wheatland deputies, Deputy Justin Walker and the one I will swear in this afternoon, Deputy Bryson Rowe, they will have vehicles to operate in when they're down there in that Wheatland area here when they get off training. So that's kind of the 2 of these vehicles will go to them. We can get those 2 Interceptors off the road, and then ones to replace one of the ones we have up here. So we're trying to figure out a plan, but obviously with everything that's going on, we are coming up against, normally these vehicles are built in October and they're not being built until much later. So it's putting us really behind. So
Okay. That also looks like you're going to be able to outfit them with
funding that's already in the
funding
budget.
that's already in the budget.
So yes, so when we went through the budget process here, that was one of the things that we talked about with our citizen advisory board, was make sure we had the funding to equip those vehicles when they did come in, knowing that if we were granted that, I think we actually got notification of the grant when we did that meeting. So we knew we were having those 2 officers when they made sure that we budgeted enough money in there to make that outfit possible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Awesome. Well, congratulations on being able to do that. I mean,
it's huge.
that's good.
It's going to be interesting to see how things work. I did speak with Sheriff Gookin in regards to utilizing the Three Forks office with 3 guys versus 1. He was perfectly fine with it. Three Forks, the city council seems to be fine with it as well, since we have that lease or interlocal agreement with them as well. So everything's gone really well with that. We just need to get them through training, and this will be a trying time for us because we have never had 3 deputy sheriffs in training at the same time, and it's stretching people pretty thin and putting some people in positions they haven't felt before. So
Well, I think that's a good problem to have.
I don't know.
The fact that you're able to put these officers out on the road, I mean, that's.
And I think that
that's good. So.
Having 3 down in the Wheatland area is going to be huge, and we still have quite a caseload coming out of the Wheatland area, and I think that just having that presence there is going to be huge. Hopefully, the scheduling is not going to be perfect because obviously it's only 3 guys versus having an entire division of patrol officers be able to focus their efforts right there. But those guys will be assigned to that area, and that's where they're required to live in that area. Sure. And so I don't know if I told you that. I did authorize them to live in Gallatin County, namely the city of Three Forks, if they can find a home there. Mm-hmm. Because let's be honest, we don't pay enough for them to live in Broadwater County in the Wheatland area. There's just too much money. Those are 350,000 plus homes, and it's hard to make that house payment $2188. So if you have a family, so
well, that's our next one of our next challenges, right? As we
Absolutely,
move forward,
absolutely.
so.
And that's another topic of conversation that if you guys want to engage in it, we can. If you don't, that's fine. I did have my sheriff's meeting over in Hamilton, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and that was a topic of conversation there as well. If you want to engage that, we can. If you don't, if you want to take care of this, we can do that. Come back another day.
Yeah, we'll come back another day on
Okay.
that one. I think there's a lot to talk about on that, so,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so we'll do that.
Okay. So,
All right.
any questions on regards to the vehicles that I can answer?
No, so the reality is you're not gonna be able to, we won't have to pay for them till January, February of 2021, right?
Well, they won't get built until February
Yeah.
21. So they indicated they have no specific time. So the first one's there, the first one's built. So they didn't have an actual time frame from the time they're built to the time they hit the dealership to even get over to Dana Police Supply in where's it, Paradise, between Livingston and Gardner there. And so really realistically, we could hit the end of the fiscal year and still not have cars to pay for. So yeah, this has really put us in a pickle. So hopefully we can keep the other ones on the road long enough to get them there. So
Very good. All right.
I don't have any other questions. I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of the new sheriff's office vehicles.
Right, I'll second that motion. Motion's made and seconded to authorize the purchase of the 3 new pursuit vehicles. The cost would be $102,756. Is there any public discussion? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right.
I will get the undersheriff on it.
Okay, thanks, Win. Thank you, Win. All right, so one of the last issues that or I should say that's on our agenda is we wanted to discuss moving forward on some ideas that the commission has had on trying to pay off some loans that we're paying interest on and make possibly a loan to solid waste and to pay off the Silos boat dock. That's what's on the agenda. And I guess maybe we'll start out with solid waste loan first off. So after all of the bills have been paid, solid waste still had a deficit of $280,000, which I think is, from the standpoint, last year we were in 300, close to what, 350, Mike?
Yep.
Something like that. So it is coming down. Our program is working, but still carrying a $280,000 deficit. The issue with that is probably more with our auditors than it is with us. At the end of the year, there's a statute that says we cannot operate in a negative balance. So in order to make sure that that's not happening, we have to loan them for a day $280,000, and then when new taxes come in, they actually pay that money back, and that's how we've been operating for the past couple of years. Our auditors have finally said, enough is enough. You guys quit doing that, and so the only way to do that is to loan that money. And what's proposed is we have $492,872 that we have received from the hospital payoff. Now, normally we would take that money and we would reinvest that into our STIP, our short-term investment program. Right now, all we can get for CDs is 0.3%. And so the discussion has been, does it make sense for us to do another investment similar to what we did before with this to solid waste, charge them a reasonable interest rate, something that they can afford, and still get a return on that investment greater than 0.3%, and then also pay off some of our other debt, and we'll discuss that later. So I guess maybe we'll just focus this first part of our discussion on this, on the solid waste loan, and we'll open that up for discussion. Go ahead, Josh.
So it's Josh with Public Works. One of the benefits of being able to loan to the solid waste department is it'll give us a defined repayment schedule, and we'll be able to be held accountable for that from that point forward. It'll be structured finally, as Commissioner Folkford said, this program's been allowed to run at a negative operating budget for many, many years without any formalized structure to pay it back and no timeline. So this would give us that structure, and we would be able to meet that goal. I'd have done a full budget analysis when I first took over the position, and we've already started making some changes to the program on ideas that when they were first pitched seemed like they made sense, but we're a year and a half into them, and some of those ideas just weren't cost effective. So the $5 large household item fee was one of those. It seemed on paper like it was a good idea and that it was making money, but it was actually costing us more to institute that idea than what it was bringing in. So we've removed that. We've talked with the solid waste board. There's several more items that we're discussing on how to become more efficient, and this will allow us a timeline and a schedule to finally be out of the hole and be operating to the positive again.
All right, good. So I guess, Josh, before you leave, I know that you have had a chance to talk with the board.
Yes, sir.
And are they acceptable?
They are supportive of the loan at this point, and then from that point on, like I said, and for all the same reasons, it finally gives us a timeline to where we can start operating efficiently, and it allows us to, by doing this, it allows us to repay that loan at a rate that we'll be able to sustain and plan for the future growth in our county. We're looking at almost 200% growth, and through all the subdivisions, most of which are in our solid waste district. So not only are we battling trying to overcome that deficit, but plan for future growth for Broadwater County, and this will allow us to do that.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions?
We might have some later as we go along. So one of the things that we needed to be sure of before we went down this road is that we were able to use these funds. And so we've reached out to Darla Erickson, who works at the Department of Administration, to get her on thoughts moving forward. And through all of the emails and conversations, we sent her the documents that we used for the hospital loan so that she could review them. And after her reviewing them, she said that she didn't see any reason that we could not move forward. The concern is that there was any restrictions on that money as it was repaid back, that it had to be put back into a specific fund or anything like that. And there were no restrictions on that. Talking with Doug Ellis, our treasurer, he doesn't believe there's any restrictions as well. And so, Corey, did you have anything to add to that, or?
Yeah, I'll just add two things, and I know I'm basically saying what we've already discussed privately, but so there were two questions for her, not just were there any restrictions on the hospital investment funds being repaid, but secondly, the original source of the funds that were used for the warrants, were there restrictions on that, and there weren't. Now, there are some funds that the county has where we hold them in trust for example, the recreation trust or the school or whatever. So those funds, there's restrictions on how they can be used, right? Right. And this group of, this money wasn't one of those. The second thing that we discussed was the fact that solid waste is considered an enterprise fund. And so it's kind of a business fund. So it's got a, it can't get free money, but it also isn't, it's not where we have to put this 6% interest rate on it. What Doug has told me, and I think he's told you, is that his problem is we received the payoff from the hospital warrants, and the rate of return is so low right now for CDs or other investments because of we're in a financial environment where interest rates are just about as low as they can be. So if he puts those all into CDs, he's getting, I don't remember what the percentage was, it was extremely low, at less than 1%.
It was 0.3%.
0.3%. Yeah. And so that's really not a great, you're just parking your money. You're actually losing money on it because the cost of living is going up about that. So the idea if he could use that through this loan and whatever interest rate is agreed to, and I don't know where we're at on that, but it'd be more than 0.3%. So it's a better return than what he's getting now. But, you know, my recommendation was it shouldn't be an interest rate that's so onerous that it doesn't actually financially achieve your objective, which is solid waste gets out of debt and has their plan that puts them however many years out, where they not only pay that back, but then they're moving forward in the black. So those are my only things to add.
Right, perfect, thank you. So I guess kind of along those lines, I just ran some simple interest, and, you know, right now, commercial business rates range between 3 to 6%. But just doing some rough figuring, I figured at interest rates at 1.5 and 2%, and depending on the length of the term, obviously, was more or less interest that you paid. So, for an example, $280,000 at 1.5% for a 6-year term was $4,096 a month. So multiply that times 12, it would be a $48,800 payment roughly that solid waste would have to make back for 6 years. And I guess we all know that if the interest rate is obviously more, you pay a little more interest. But the term, whether you're going like say 6 years or 8 years, you would pay more or less interest depending on your term. So out of all these sheets, I guess I just kind of, and I'm just using these as numbers for reference. This isn't exactly what it's going to be by time we're done. It seemed like there was an average of about $17,700 of interest over that period of 6 years that we would see on a rate of return on that money that we would loan to solid waste. If we took that same amount, or if we went and invested this $497 or $92,000 at 0.3%, we'd only receive $6,800 in interest. So I think it makes sense for us to do something like this. I mean, it's good. That's good business, and we help our solid waste. We still provide for a return on our investment, and I think we can kind of kill a couple birds with one stone by doing something like this. I guess one of the questions is probably where we need to just decide so we can go forward what an acceptable interest rate would be. You have any thoughts on that, Mike?
I wouldn't be opposed to 1.5.
1.5. Josh, do you feel that that's something that budget could sustain?
I do.
Do you? Okay. Now, what we did in the past is we used, was it Crowley Fleck, Corey, to draw up these loan documents. We would do something similar to that to make sure that is done properly and we have the right schedule. So I guess, do we want to move forward with that?
What's that?
Do we want to move forward with
Yeah,
making this
yeah,
loan?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Would we have to issue warrants like we did with the hospital, Corey?
No, it wouldn't be warranted. I mean, it would basically be like a promissory note.
Okay.
So that's my thought in terms of the documents that they prepare. I guess, what are your thoughts in terms of timeline and all that? Because I think this is one where it would make sense to let the public know and give them a chance to come
Yeah.
before you finalize it.
Right. And I think so today's purpose is just to have this discussion, to get it out there, to determine if we're going to move forward. And then if it sounds like we do want to move forward, so we'll have more of these discussions, try to provide more information for everybody and get more public comment before moving forward. So before we put a whole bunch of time and effort into it and then decide that it's something we don't want to do. So, but I think the consensus is for us to move forward. All right. Do you have a comment, Tim? Yeah, go ahead.
Question.
Go ahead and come on up, please.
This on the solid waste department has been on the table now for a couple of years for sure. Thank you, Josh, for coming in and working on getting this kind of cleaned up. Question is, again, Tim, citizen, I know that we have had this discussion for Board of Investment loans to this department in the past. And the question that needs to make sure that we're on the front page of that as citizens is, what is the status of those loans that have been already on the table and discussed, and are they still outstanding, and are they going to add to the $280,000 deficit of that department? I just need to find out if that's cleared up or where that's at.
Yeah, sure. So those loans, yes, would be on top of this current loan. They've already received that money, and they purchased the canisters, which we were badly in need of. That was kind of one of those things that had to happen.
Thank you.
But I know Josh has been very good at diving into his budget, and he has a pretty good idea where he's at, and if, I believe he just feels that it can sustain it. So I'm good with moving forward. All right. So you want to make a motion, Mike, that we move forward with this?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the solid waste loan.
Okay, I will second that motion. Motion is made and seconded to move forward with solid waste loan discussions. Is there any more public comment? More comment? Okay,
And
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
the amount of the loan is $280,000.
$280,000, yeah.
Aye.
Aye. And we'd agree to 1.5% is what we're going to
1.5. What do we want to do for
want to
length?
start with that. I guess maybe as we get into this further, we can print out some sheets that have all that information on it, and you and the board can make that decision of what would be acceptable, and then we can go forward from there. Okay.
Put it on the agenda for solid waste this month.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions by chance? No. Okay. Okay, good. I guess the next discussion will be our Board of Investment loan payoff. So we currently have two Board of Investment loans. One is for this building. We purchased the Opportunity Bank building. And there is a Board of Investment construction loan that was taken out in, let's see, 2016. And we've been paying on, there's still 5 years left to pay on that loan. There's 14 years left to pay on this loan. The current, just so everybody knows, the payoff on this building right now, of course, it's probably different than what's on this sheet, but at the time printing of the sheet, it was $145,932. And the payoff on the construction loan is $11,768. So we're currently paying 3.75% interest on that. If we can go ahead and pay those loans off, that will save us approximately $31,000 in interest. So I think it makes sense to pay off our higher interest loans and save that interest payment for our taxpayers. The other thing that does is it helps to strengthen our general fund, because these payments obviously have to come out of the general fund. So if we can do that and reduce those payments and that impact on our general fund going forward, I think we're going to be better off. I mean, I think we're all still concerned about the impact of this COVID and what it's going to have on our budgets in the future. I don't believe that we have fully realized what those impacts are going to be. Probably we'll know more after November when the assessments come in, what we realize there, and even go on into next year. I mean, there's still going to be more impacts. So I think for us as a county government, it makes sense to get our house in order, get a lot of these loans paid off, and basically, if we can, go into a new year somewhat debt-free. And I don't think that there's a lot of counties that can say that. So credit goes to a lot of the commission and the staff before me. They've been very diligent in their spending, and that's the reason we're in a good position we are today. We want to try to maintain that. So I guess with that, this discussion is, should we pay off some of these loans?
And I think that's exactly what we should do, because if by paying off this loan on the Opportunity Building and the construction loan, we're saving $31,000. And then if you add the $17,000 interest from solid waste, we've basically made a profit of about $48,000 by getting this done, taken care of. We're not in debt anymore. And I think it's a good idea to get it all taken care of and get it off our books.
All right. I agree. Okay.
So I would make the motion to pay off the Board of Investment loans, pay off for the Opportunity Bank building and the construction loan.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Motion's made and seconded to pay off our two Board of Investment loans, one being the Opportunity Building and the construction loan. Is there any public discussion? Any discussion? Tim?
Quick question, is the funding to pay the loans off coming from PILT, or where is that coming from?
It's coming from this hospital.
From that
investment.
hospital
Yes.
payoff?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
I just needed to straighten.
Yes,
that. Thank you.
yep, that's where it'll be coming from.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
Ann Rouser, have you talked with the treasurer about using the funds for these?
We have,
Okay.
yep, Doug's been in the loop on this from the beginning.
Okay, very good.
Yep, yep. Yeah, we wouldn't be doing this without his blessing. All right, so, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. We'll move forward with paying off those loans. All right, so the last thing is the Silos boat dock payoff. So this is something that has been, I don't know how long ago this happened, I really don't. But the bottom line is we carry about a $15,755 negative cash balance on our Silos account, and we have for quite a few years. Is that right, Mike?
Yes.
Apparently that negative cash balance was, well, when they bought the boat docks from Goose Bay, transported them across, and I know that in reading the documents that Trust Board contributed some of that, like I want to say $61,000 towards the purchase, but there was still some outstanding balance for the installation. Does that sound right?
The installation and the transportation of
And it-
moving them over.
Moving them over, okay. And that balance never did get paid off. I think the thought is that, we receive 10% of the proceeds that come from the silos recreation area from our concessionaire. The issue is that there's never enough money there to pay down this debt. We actually continue to go in the hole almost every year in that fund. So this is another area where our auditors have said that we need to get this cleared up. So I guess the proposal would be to use the $15,755 out of this same money to get this cleared up and off of our books so that we can move forward.
And again, this is something that's pushed by the auditor to get our books cleaned up. So we're not fighting it every time. Every time we go through PILT, we end up giving 15,000 in, then we pull it back out the next week to give it back into the general fund. This way, we at least we get it paid off and it's taken care of.
I think also clearing this up will maybe help us move forward as we go forward with this silos recreation project. I think that there's some changes coming from that, and this will make this a lot cleaner. So, is there a motion to move forward?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move forward with the silos boat dock payoff.
Okay, I'll second the motion. Motion's made and seconded to use these funds to pay off the silos boat docks, $15,755. Is there any public discussion? Any public discussion?
I had a question.
Come on up so we can, everybody needs to hear what you're saying.
Not everybody. The question I have is, so how are you going further in debt by getting 10% of the proceeds from what is done in the summer at the silos? That doesn't make any sense to me. And I say this.
I know, it doesn't. So,
you look at the 4th of July weekend, there's 500 campers out there.
yeah.
At $10 a camper, that's a whole lot of money just for one weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's every day. It's $10 a day.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know how we're running a negative balance with that.
Let me give you an example.
Please.
So, I'm just gonna try to remember figures out of my head. I think last year, total revenue from silos was $75,000.
72.
72,000?
Yep.
The county received a check for $7,200. We had close to $10,000 in expenses. So we went in the hole.
So just out of curiosity, why is the county going in the hole? How do you have expenses if you have a concierge that's supposed to be taking care of everything by getting 90% of the proceeds that's taking place?
And this is the discussion that we're having going forward with our concessionaires agreement.
Yeah, it seems like a bad business model plan, just in my mind, just saying. So, thank you. I had that question. Thank you.
Yep. Any other public discussion?
I would like to echo what he's, I'll come up here.
Yeah, come on up here.
Ross Johnson. I'd like to echo what the sheriff was saying. I don't understand that at all. I mean, having been in banking all my life, we didn't go in the hole on these deals.
Right.
And that's the whole intent of business is to not, and why we allowed that to happen, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, it should have been taken care of. Instead of playing as I listened to you on some of these others, it seems like we were smoke and mirrors. We pay it off at the end of the year and then put it back on the next day. And I give you credit. Finally, we're going to address the problem instead of just covering it up and hoping that no one sees it, and which had to do with solid waste and everything else. But I don't understand how you get negative. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The concessionaire should have been kicked out a long time ago.
Well, I appreciate your comments. All right, anything else? Anybody else have any comments? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. All right. All a part of trying to get us where we need to be. So, in talking with Doug, he feels that if we were to do this, that there would still be roughly $39,000 left that we could still invest back into. I guess we'll put it back into STIP. So there'll still be some funds left over from that, and we'll put it into the best investment that we can. So. I guess that's all that's on the agenda. Maybe something that we should probably talk about, Mike, that we've just made aware of before we came to this meeting, and we'll have to continue this discussion with Teresa. Is we know that we're probably going to have some. Well, first off, we know that our public health department needs some help. Teresa's been trying to man it by herself, and Diane and Heather has been helping when she can. We have not been able to hire a new LPN, despite our best efforts to advertise for one. We cannot find one that. So there is an opportunity through the state of Montana for assistance for trying to hire someone, and let me grab my information so I have that all correct. So there is a RN that would be available for us. It would cost us $35 an hour for her rate of pay, $56 a day for mileage, and $32 a day for per diem. She would work 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They'd be 10-hour days, and 30 hours of each week. I guess I believe that probably a good portion of this would be COVID related, so we could receive some funding assistance there. But we truly need to have somebody to help Teresa. I'm afraid that we're going to burn Teresa out. We don't want to lose her, and we need to give her some help. And right now, this seems like an opportunity for us. I know it's probably going to cost us a little bit of money, but in this instance here, we have to do something.
And I don't see, due to the email that we got from Teresa this morning about the COVID outbreak information from Western, from Dylan, I don't see where we could, if this gal's available, we should get her now, because we've been, 2.5 months looking for somebody.
Okay.
It's going to cost us some money, but better than costing us some lives.
Good point. The way this would work is, the way this is set up, the request has to come through our DES they make the request to the state, and then they will provide the employee. So there's actually someone that's available right now, and so it's an opportunity that we probably should take advantage of if we can. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, in regards to the outbreak in Western, and I think we all are fairly aware that a lot of our youth, high school and our young college kids went to Dillon here over the last weekend or last week and decided to party all together, and a lot of them unfortunately have coming back with positive tests. And so I think anybody who's talked to me knows that I'm not a big mask guy, and the symptoms from what the people I know who've had it have been minimal. And I told the doctor myself, I said, you guys should give me COVID over a sinus infection because this has been killing me. So with that being said, I think our numbers are going to go up. I think they're going to go up very drastically. I think they're going to go very drastically this week. I think we're going to be in that double digits, and I'm assuming that's going to be start out as some lower double digits, but I fully expected to see we hit the higher numbers or the lower numbers of double digits here in the next couple of weeks with what's going on and what you're seeing across the state. I don't foresee us staying at 1, 2, 3, or 4 for very long, and I don't expect us to see 1, 2, 3, or 4 for a lengthy period of time. Yellowstone County this morning I think is up to around 1,300 active cases. You look at Kalispell, they're over 700 cases. Mm-hmm. Great Falls is over 450 cases. The numbers are out, and unfortunately, I don't think the masks have really worked because all those places that have huge numbers have been a mask mandate since the mid-July or early July, wherever it was when the governor sent his guidance. So I think that we're just one of the last ones in the string to actually be affected by it. And I expect it to get worse before it gets better, and I would encourage any sort of help to Teresa that she can get. I know she struggles trying to get me the information so I can relay that to the public safety sector. And she's always apologetic for it, but she's run both ends. So I would encourage somebody to, if you can do it, make it happen. And I think if hopefully the CARES Act money will cover a lot of that and get reimbursed in that component as well. But I think for the community and for the county, I think it's the utmost that we do something and get ahead of it before it comes up and slaps us in the face. So
very good. Thanks, Wade.
Okay.
Thanks, Wade.
All right. So I guess we just wanted to let everybody know that this wasn't an agenda item, but it's something that we need to act on
Can I say something?
and get going on. Yes, go ahead, Ross. Come on
I'll
up.
get going.
Yeah, come on up. Yeah.
I have a question is why are we having such a difficult finding? Because I know of probably 3 or 4 RNs in this county right now that are not working as RNs. So why are we having this difficulty filling it from within?
Well, because we're really not, we're not looking for an RN, we're looking for an LPN.
But you can't get an LPN. So,
You can't get one.
so but now you're going to take an RN out of the state. So why aren't you looking for an RN here?
Well, we are looking for an RN. We're taking anything we can get. This
Right.
is the first opportunity we've had to get one.
And my question is why is there something internally within the structure of our public health department that people are not willing to apply for that job? Because I know I have a wife that's an RN that
Well,
is
send them
currently
down there and have them apply for the job.
but currently is not working as one.
Well, why isn't she applying?
Well, I'm asking you that. I mean, I'm asking, is there a reason why people are not applying for it? Because she's not the only one. I know one that goes out of the county, works for the state and goes out of the county, has been down at Lame Deer for, I don't know, for how long. And so, I'm just curious as why we're not getting them people to apply. That's the question.
Well, one reason I can give you is, and I mentioned this last week, I went on I think it was the Indeed, website, which is pretty popular for. And at that time, I just typed in LPNs for job postings in Montana. There was over 375 people looking
Right.
that they cannot fill.
Right.
So the people that are working in that field can pretty much write their ticket to wherever they want to go and I would say, we were offering, what, $24 an hour?
24, yeah.
$24 an hour for starting pay for an LPN, which, not terrible.
No, that's not.
Not terrible.
No.
So We don't know. I mean,
Well, I mean, are you willing to still allow this, if it's an RN, it comes in
of course.
30 hours a week,
Yeah.
3 10-hour days? I mean, something like that, or are you requiring that they be there more often than that? I mean, there's the things that you can adjust the job schedules in these type of jobs so that it makes it more appealing to the people from here instead of bringing from
We've
from
had job
outside.
opening, or job posting for permanent and part-time employees.
Mhm.
So it's just a matter of people applying for the job.
Okay. Well, I just wondered,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, because it seems like there are a number of RNs here that, and stuff that, I just wonder why they're not. And I guess I could ask my wife that same question.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh? Go
So
ahead.
just one comment on that is because they can make much more money as a traveler. Because right there, we pay
Right.
$24 an hour. The state's offering to pick it up at $34 an hour.
Mhm.
So, and same thing, Billings Clinic, Broadwater, they struggle with the same thing. It's supply and demand, and right now they can make exponentially more money traveling place to place than they ever can anywhere residential.
Yeah. Yeah, the challenges that we face during this time, so. All right, well, Tim, go ahead. Sure.
Question. Tim Ravendall, citizen. With the kind of the past program that we've had here in Broadwater County with the hospital district and the hospital and everybody working together between the county health department and basically the county-owned operated hospital, with Billings Clinic and St. Pete's, I had to think. Is there a chance that because they have their LPN, RPN, or BR 549s working here in the community and commuting here already, has the county approached those entities as far as saying, can we get, and I've seen it before, can we get you for part-time for helping out at the county level? Because a lot of the things that come through the county health are actually ending up at the hospital or the clinic anyway. So I just a question if that's been approached.
Sure. Yeah, actually it has been. And the response is that if we got ourselves in a big pickle, that they would be willing to help whatever we can do. But I don't know if you know this, but our LPN that we did have hired went to work for Billings Clinic. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so that's how why we lost our LPN. Anyway, but I guess maybe Heather is still helping us as much as she can, so we thank her for that. And I don't begrudge anybody for trying to better themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, yeah, was it last week? I asked in our last commissioners meeting, anybody out there that'd be willing to come forward, and yeah, so far nothing yet. So. All right, so should we try to move forward on this? We'll have this discussion with Teresa and you want to do that, Mike?
Yeah, I think we should have the discussion. I think we should also make the recommendation that we hire this person while we got a chance to get her.
Okay. All right. That's what we'll do then. Anything else?
You ever want a sheriff's office update?
What's that?
You ever want a sheriff's office update?
Well, yes.
Maybe next agenda.
Okay, next one? You bet. That'd be great. We appreciate that.
It's been a while.
Okay, let's do that. All right, I guess with that, we're adjourned. 11:48? Thank you, everybody.